The Jewish people respond to death with words of blessing. Baruch Dayan Ha'emet, praised is the judge of truth. For this is our painful truth. Adonai Natan v'Adonai Lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai Mevarach. Adonai has given, Adonai has taken. Praised be the name of Adonai. To the bereaved family of Carol Besner, we offer words of comfort. Karov Adonai lenishbarei lev, ve'et daka'ei ruach yoshia. May Adonai be close to the brokenhearted. May God help those who are crushed in spirit. We begin our service with the recitation of psalms and prayers, calling out for God's presence, summoning our strength and courage to maintain faith in difficult circumstances, and linking the life of Carol Ann Besner, Chaya Chana Bat Yitzchak Halevi V'Shendel, with the thousands-year-old tradition of the Jewish people and the eternity of God. Begin with Psalm 23.
Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai Roi, Lo Echsar, Minot Eshe Yarbitzeini, Al Mei Menuchot Yenaleini, Nafshi Shovev Yanecheini V'maglei Tzedek Leman Shemo. Gam ki elech begei tzalmavet lo yirara ki ata imadi shivtecha umishantecha hema yinachamuni. Taroch lefanai shulchan neged sorerai dishanta vashemen roshi kosi revaya. Ach tov v'chesed yirdefuni kol yemei chayai v'shavti b'veit Adonai v'shavti b'veit Adonai leorech yamim.
A Psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
When I told my wife, Beverly, on Wednesday morning that our longtime friend Carol Besner had died, her immediate reaction was, "Oh, I liked Carol so much. She was an exceptionally nice person." I believe those few words capture the essence of how so many of us felt about Carol. She was special, and we cherished those characteristics of warmth, caring, and sincerity that she brought to all her relationships. About 2 weeks ago, I had the privilege of spending some time with Carol at Suburban Hospital. While she was clearly in decline, we were able to reminisce about the wonderful trips that she and UART had taken with our B'nai Israel groups to Israel and to Italy. We talked about her precious family and how much she loved them. Then I held Carol's hand as we prayed together, and I wished her all God's blessings on the journey that we both recognized was now ahead. On our Jewish calendar, Carol died on Erev Yom Kippur. Throughout the High Holy Day season, we are keenly aware of the fragility of life. We pray intensely for chayim, for life, and yet we recognize that when all is said and done, the measure of our years is not really in our own hands. The Machzor, the text of the High Holy Day liturgy, puts it aptly, V'chotam yad kol adam bo. Every person sets a seal on life's journey. Each of us authors how others ultimately remember us. The seal of Carol's life, one that will continue to influence you, her family, and all of us, her friends, was her fierce determination to persevere, to not allow illness to define her, and equally importantly, if not more so, her ability to give of herself fully, wholeheartedly, and lovingly. We were so fortunate to have Carol in our midst. May her memory ever be our inspiration. From Psalm 121, Shir lama'alot esa einai el heharim ayin yavo Izri. Izri me'im Adonai yosei shamayim va'aretz. Al yitein lamot raglecha al yanum shomrecha hinei lo yanum velo yishan shomer Yisrael. I turn my eyes to the mountains, from where will my help come? My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. Adonai will not let your foot give way. Your guardian will not slumber. The guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. Adonai is your protection, a guardian at your right hand. By day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. Adonai will guard you from all harm and guard your life. Adonai guards your coming and going, now and forever. Adonai yishmarcha mikol ra, yishmor et nafshecha. Adonai yishmar tzetecha uvoecha me'ata ve'ad olam.
And from the wisdom of Solomon, a good person, though taken from us too soon, will rest in peace. For honor in old age does not come from length of life. Honor in old age does not come from length of years. Understanding is the gray hair of humanity. A blameless life is ripeness of age. Perfection in limited years is like living for many years. So a good person, though taken from us too soon, will rest in peace. Let us then, with peace of mind, let that good soul rest. Our teacher, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, taught that there are 3 ways to mourn. The first is to cry. The second is to stand silent. And the third is to transform sorrow into song. And that's a fitting place for us to begin. Not with the questions, Carol didn't deserve to suffer as she did. Her family does not deserve to be bereaved as they are. We have every reason to ask why again and again, but I prefer to begin with gratitude for being able to honor Carol here. Carol was first diagnosed with cancer in 1988, shortly before Ellen's bat mitzvah. When the family took pictures in this sanctuary, Carol was wearing a wig, to cover the hair she had lost during treatment. Fast forward 32 years, and the family was in this room taking pictures again, this time for Sydney's bat mitzvah. And Carol kept saying how grateful she was because she never expected to make it to pose for that second set of pictures. 32 years of a difficult but courageous fight. Surgery, chemotherapy, lymphoma, recurrences, metastases, more treatments. But Carol was determined to live. Carol was eager to enjoy family moments with children and grandchildren. Carol went down to Coconut Creek, Florida, for 15 seasons and came back to Maryland each time for less than 6 months, of course. She became a proficient golfer, discovered abilities she didn't recognize she had: pottery, photography, oil painting, the stock market, sculpture. Artie carries a picture of Carol's first sculpture in his wallet, and you should ask him to show it to you during Shiva because it's beautiful. Carol was curious and liked to learn new things. About a month ago, she mustered every ounce of energy to get out to watch Artie run for gold in the Senior Olympics. That's what we remember and celebrate today. Carol Ann Feinstein was born on December 16, 1945 in Brooklyn, the second of 4 children to the late Isidore and Jean Feinstein. Theirs was a military family, which meant they moved around a lot. Milwaukee, Germany, Miami, and lots of places in between. Carol studied for a year at a University of Maryland branch in Germany, a year and a half at Queens College, before finishing her degree at the University of Miami. She became an English teacher for about 6 years. Carol met Artie Besner on a double date. She was actually set up with a close friend of Artie's, Stefan Schoenfeld, and Artie was coupling with someone else. I think there's more to the story, but after a couple of weeks, Stefan agreed it was okay for Artie to give Carol a call. They dated for a little while, and they were married on November 18th, 1973. It is said that when a couple gets married, one person gets the bargain. And by Artie's estimation, he got the bargain in this relationship. Carol was so supportive, encouraging, and patient. She took time away from teaching to raise their 2 daughters. I know we're going to hear more from Artie in a bit. Carol had a special relationship with her siblings, Michael Feinstein, Gail Shake, and Robin Toole. At times, she acted as a mother to them, which gave her practice raising her own children. Soon we will hear what a loving mother and mother-in-law Carol was to Ellen and Joe Robinson, and Debbie Besner and Russell Friedman, and a proud and devoted grandmother to Sydney, Spencer, and Haley Robinson, Blake and Sloan Friedman. Carol was hands-on. She would read books, help them develop themes for book reports. She was always home after school. She volunteered for the PTA, sports teams, the pool, wherever she could. Carol understood the unique qualities of each of her grandchildren and related to each of them as individuals. She understood people. She was a cheerleader. She had a way of making people want to succeed so they could make her proud. These qualities made Carol a fantastic school counselor, which she became after earning a master's degree. She worked at Colonel E. Brooks Lee Middle School in Silver Spring for 19 years. When she retired, they read some stories from her file to underscore the tremendous impact she had on so many student lives. Growing up in a military family, Carol lived in a lot of places that didn't have strong Jewish communities. In some places, she interacted with people who had never met a Jew before. And that was difficult at times, but it helped Carol develop a very keen Jewish identity. When she met Artie, she committed to keeping kosher, having a Jewish home. She and Artie joined this synagogue, B'nai Israel, in 1983. They educated their children here, met friends here, sat in the fourth row of Goodman Assembly Hall on the high holidays here. It's kind of spitting distance, really. Traveled to Israel and Italy with Rabbi Schnitzer and other members of the congregation here. Carol didn't have a formal Jewish education, so she bought a lot of books. She memorized a lot of prayers. She told her children about the trials and tribulations of Jewish history and how Jews overcame so many obstacles to survive as a people. Carol supported many charities, especially those that advocated for underprivileged children or seniors or women who had been abused. She was so kind, she was fair, well-read, and had a keen sense of justice. She saw what was happening in the world and believed in and advocated for change. That's the legacy of Carol Besner. Carol died on the day before Yom Kippur, and in a few days we're going to be celebrating Sukkot. The primary requirement of the sukkah is that it provide adequate shade from the sun. The rabbis reflected that there are different kinds of shade, different kinds of shadows. Would that our lives were like the shadow of a wall or a tree, they taught. Alas, it is too often they are only like the shadow of a bird in flight. Not so for Carol Besner. Her shadow is not the ephemeral passing shadow of a bird in flight. Her shadow is large, like the sukkah. Her impact is strong, like a wall. Her legacy is constant, like the shadow of a tall tree. You see it in children, grandchildren, a husband, siblings, friends who want to emulate Carol's kindness, her sense of fairness, her values, her will to live and fight. Conclude with a poem from Hillel Bavli entitled Zot Tefilati, This is My Prayer. This is my prayer to you, my God. Let not my spirit wither and shrivel in its thirst for you, and lose the dew with which you sprinkled it when I was young. May my heart be open to every broken soul, to orphan life, to every stumbler wandering unknown and groping in the shadow. Bless my eyes. Purify me to see humanity's beauty rise in the world and the glory of my people in its redeemed land, spreading its fragrance over all the earth. Deepen and broaden my senses to absorb a fresh, green, flowering world, to take from it the secret of blossoming in silence. Grant strength to yield fine fruits, quintessence of my life steeped in my very being, without expectation of reward. And when my time comes, let me slip into the night, demanding nothing, God, of humanity or of you. Yehei Zichra Baruch. May the memory of Carol Ann Besner, Chaya Chana Bat Yitzchak Halevi V'Shendel, always be a blessing. Amen. I call now on members of the family. First, we're going to hear from Ellen and Joe Robinson, daughter and son-in-law.
When my mom was in 4th grade, she read a book called Misty of Chincoteague about a horse off an island of the coast of Maryland and Virginia. She loved horses and never imagined she would end up living in Maryland for more than 50 years of her life. 4 years ago, after my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer for the 3rd time, we went to the Chincoteague Pony Swim, a lifelong dream of hers. It was something she wanted to do, and she did it. And if my mom wanted to do something in her life, she made it happen. She wanted to live a full life, and she succeeded. In 1988, a lot of you in the audience will remember, when she was 42 and a half years old and diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer, she didn't think she'd be there for Debbie and my high school graduations. Thankfully, she lived for 33 years more, and I'm so thankful she was able to be there for 2 high school graduations, 2 college and master's degrees, 2 weddings, the birth of 5 grandchildren and 2 granddogs, and 1 daughter's bat mitzvah. But you wouldn't even know that cancer was looming in the background because my mom never complained. Not after endless side effects from chemo and from radiation, not after weekly blood draws and doctor's visits, not even after her 10th chemo regimen this last time around. In the words of the children's book, Pinkalicious, you get what you get and you don't get upset. Medically, it was a miracle she lived as long as she did. She'd have to get to the doctor's office 20 minutes early just so she could fill out her extensive medical history. She would joke that her weight was low because she had so many body parts taken out. But to her, health was no joke. In fact, it was just the opposite. She felt like if you had your health, the rest was gravy. And she spent many hours on her health, from researching treatments to attending workshops to trips to the apothecary and weird smoothie drinks. She did it all. She truly believed in the present. No need to lament about what happened in the past or worry in advance about the future. Gosh, how many times did I call her worried about something in advance? She would tell me there would be plenty time to worry, but now wasn't the time. When I needed my mom, she was always there to instill her values. With her living in the present outlook on life, my mom loved to try new hobbies. When Debbie and I were little, she had a darkroom. Yes, way before iPhones took great pictures. She built our rabbit hutches, tried piano, pottery, ceramics, water walking, even bonsai tree planting. But her true passions were golf and her 5 grandkids. My mom took her job as a grandparent very seriously from the beginning. She was the only parent who was at the breastfeeding class with me when I was pregnant. As soon as Sydney was born, she made it clear that no job was too small. Whether it was all those trips to Bye Bye Baby, taking Spencer to his weekly allergy shots, art projects with Haley, or reading to Sydney's elementary school class, my mom was all in. Ever the educator, she often used daily occurrences as teachable moments for her grandkids. Grammy School, we called it. When the kids were learning about different types of coins, she made a big card and glued on the types of coins with their names. She then bought a collection book of state coins. She took extra care of the elderly and those who were worse off. She had many close 90-year-old and older friends whom she admired greatly. My mom loved listening to their life stories and would call and check in on them. During my parents' 15 years and winters in Florida, she developed and cherished many of those friendships. Perhaps you were lucky enough to get one of my mom's homemade cards, the ones where she knew exactly what to write. I have a box full of those cards that I look at when I need inspiration. Even in her last days, she was writing thank you notes for those who made her food or sent flowers. I guess because she was a former English teacher, she had a way with words. She was empathetic and compassionate. I remember once when my mom was a middle school guidance counselor coming into the house, and my mom was cutting tags off a new backpack. I didn't understand what she was doing. I asked her, and she said she was giving the backpack to a parent who couldn't afford one. She told the parent she had an old backpack in her garage so the woman wouldn't lose her pride and feel like my mom had gone out of her way to buy her child a new backpack. My mom believed you should do the right thing, even if, or especially, if you don't get credit. My mom was involved in everything growing up, whether it was assistant soccer coach, being on the PTA board, the Rockshire pool board, or being room parent every year and going on all of our field trips. As a parent, I now realize how much time she spent volunteering. My mom was an excellent listener. While some of us in our family, no names mentioned, talk and talk, my mom liked to observe, listen, and give advice. I'm sure a lot of people here today benefited from her advice. My mom taught others how to deal with difficulties with a smile, bravery, and optimism. Unfortunately, my mom won't be here for another 33 years, but Debbie, Joe, Russell, and I will make sure what she taught all of us about how to live a full life will last a lifetime.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming here today. Funerals are never easy, and the Besner, Freeman, and Robinson families want to thank each and every one of you for your support and outpouring of love and kindness during these most difficult and trying times. It's truly been overwhelming with the calls, the emails, the texts, and we're all thankful for that. I don't remember the first time that I met Carol, but I wanted to share with everyone my first memory of her. It was the fall of 1997. I just graduated college, and Ellen and I just started dating. In fact, we were in that strange friend zone period at the time. I was new to the area, and Ellen invited me to her parents' home for the break fast after Yom Kippur. For those of you that know me well, I'm a terrible faster. I get angry if I don't have lunch by noon every single day. Well, for this particular fast, I especially did not do well. But I was determined to fast that year, but I was feeling weak and sick. After I had my meal, I excused myself and proceeded to go to the Besner family bathroom and throw up everything I just ate. It was not pleasant. It was also not the quietest of experiences. And the only thing worse than what just happened in that bathroom was going out of that bathroom and going back downstairs. I knew I could not stay in that bathroom forever, but I certainly wanted to at the time. Well, when I finally got the courage to exit the bathroom and go back downstairs, Carol could not have been more comforting, more caring, and more kind. She just wanted to make sure I was okay, and she was not at all concerned for the condition of the bathroom I just left, which she seriously should have been concerned for. Luckily that evening, it did not ruin my chances with Ellen or my acceptance into the Besner family. But more importantly than that, that's who Carol was. She was comforting, she was caring, she was compassionate, and she was kind. It didn't matter if it was her kids, her grandkids, her husband, her son-in-laws, neighbors, friends, or even complete strangers. Carol exuded kindness and caring and compassion for all. She believed in education and could not be prouder of what her two daughters have accomplished and each and every one of her grandchildren's accomplishments. It didn't matter if it was an A on a math test or the most well-drawn picture from a 4-year-old. Everything was amazing and everything was terrific. She taught us something each day and every day, and for that, I am grateful. To her last few days, Carol's life was instructive even then. As her health declined, she taught us how to transition with dignity, with humor, and with kindness. To quote President Lincoln, in the end, it's not the years in your life that count, it's the life in those years. And while we all wish that Carol was still with us, she took advantage of the lives and the years that she had with us. And we are better people for having her in our lives. While we will miss her dearly, I know her legacy will continue in her family for generations to come. Thank you.
Debbie and Russell.
First, I'd like to thank you all in this room and beyond, for the incredible kindness you've shown to Art, Debbie, and Ellen, and Joe, and myself over the past few weeks. During these times when humanity feels often unrecognizable, it's moments like this that strip away the noise and show us how lucky we all are to be with each other. I'd also like to speak to the 5 smaller beings that Carol loved perhaps more than anything else in this world. Sydney, Blake, Spencer, Hallie, and Sloan. We're all sad. We're all feeling a little bit lost right now. And we miss Grammy. But we are going to be okay. Your moms are going to be okay. Your Poppy is going to be okay. It's probably Grammy's greatest legacy, that we will all be okay. She spent her life making sure of that. And I heard her say more than once that being a grandma was the best job she ever had. And like many things in life, she was damn good at it. To say that being Carol's son-in-law was a delight is an understatement. From the moment I saw she and Art crossing the street in Murray Hill to meet me for the first time and take me to dinner at Patsy's, I knew that this was an incredibly decent person. The proof is plain to see in Ellen and Debbie, who light up every room they are in with kindness and compassion. To me, I think Carol was supportive, generous, loving, curious, quietly elegant. While her journey took place in the 20th and 21st century, she mused that she would be more at home in Downton Abbey era England. Everyone seemed so polite, so proper. I learned so much from her, and I loved talking to her, especially about golf. One of our last conversations was about how Debbie is going to take her clubs back to LA and take lessons. She was very pleased. But more than anything, I loved seeking her advice. She always had an opinion worth considering. Her advice felt like it came from the perfect combination of life experience and practical thought. That's why it was so surprising to me the one time that she wasn't able to give me the guidance that I sought. It was right after my father had passed away, and the first time I saw her since he died. She walked into the room, and I felt relief just by seeing her. She gave me a big hug. I was searching for answers, for anything to make me feel better, some advice. She looked me straight in the eyes as I waited for some Carol wisdom. A long pause, and she said nothing. She just hugged me again and told me she loved me. It was striking and surprising. I remember telling her that I was surprised that she didn't have some perfect thing to say in that moment, because that's what I had come to expect from her. It was such an unfair thing for me to expect, and I only meant it as an homage to how much I thought of her. She felt bad she couldn't provide that for me. Then I felt bad for making her feel bad. She tried to come up with some quick sage advice, but the moment had passed, and the truth was clear. At a moment like this, there are no words. There are no words for this feeling, this pain, this sadness, even from Carol. There are no words that can fix this. So I won't try. Instead, I will honor her by remembering what she taught me and passing it on to her grandchildren. I will live a life of decency, kindness, and practicality with a tinge of adventure mixed in. And every time I hit a long iron from the rough or sink a long putt, I will know that she is with me, smiling and proud.
Growing up, my mom and I spent a lot of time in the car together. Somehow we were always going places, and we did a lot of bonding there. Driving to school and soccer practices, Hebrew school and friends' houses, and we would always listen to the same radio station, Q107. And Jack Diamond in the morning, he would sign off like this: "Love your show, babe. See ya." And we adopted that line to be funny whenever we would say goodbye to each other. Saying goodbye on the phone, in letters, or even dropping me off at college. "Love your show, babe. See ya." It felt sweet and familiar, and it was ours. But thinking back now, it served a higher purpose. "Love your show, babe. See ya." It was a way of playfully saying goodbye without the sting of separation. Between Ellen and I was a bit more willing to distance myself from my parents. I needed it, and my mom knew it, and I believe she loved it about me. As much as she would have loved for me to stay in the DC area, she knew that it just wouldn't make me complete, and she did not want to hold me back from the adventure that I craved. "Love your show, babe. See ya," was her way of easing the guilt I might have felt when spreading my wings. So she eliminated the emotional goodbye from our relationship. When I was 14, I caught my mom stuffing a bunch of cash into an unlabeled envelope. I thought, finally, I caught my mom in some sort of devious act. She was human after all. But she said, as she looked at me, you can't tell anyone, not even Dad." But upon further interrogation, she explained that the money was actually for a single mom she had met at Ebrookley Middle School. And when my mom worked as a guidance counselor, she often heard stories of children and families less privileged, and it always touched her. And there was a single mom at her school, she explained, who had hit really hard times. And this mom couldn't afford some basics for her children, but again, was a very proud woman. And my mom knew she needed the assistance, and she also knew that she would not accept a handout from her. So she explained to this woman that the district had set aside funds for members of the school community and that she was eligible. Of course, there were no district funds, hence the stuffed envelope with all that cash. My mom was kind and compassionate in a very selfless way. She gave often in ways without people even knowing. She needed very little attention for what she did for others. And had I not caught her, her anonymous giving would have remained anonymous. We used to talk about our family as a football team. Ellen was the quarterback, involved in every play, dependable, always putting the team first. I was the big play wide receiver, unpredictable, but reliable in the big games. My dad, the wild card, with endless stamina and enthusiasm. My mom, we said, was the owner and operator. Because of her, our organization was sound, our house was put together. She made practical, strategic, and unemotional decisions that put us in a position to succeed. And while this is all true, as I think about it now, I'm not sure owner is really what she was for our team. As we know, a football team is nothing with an offensive line. Nothing else can happen without a good one. They are always in the center of the action, but you tend to focus on the other players. I think my mom was the offensive line. She did things for us without needing fanfare. She did things because they were important to her family, because she believed in it, and because it needed to be done for all of us to thrive. My mom was inherently a protector. She blocked for us in every way. She fiercely protected her daughters, her beloved husband, and especially her grandkids. And speaking of protecting her grandkids, the last book she was reading not long ago was a book, not surprisingly, about climate change. It's so cool. She never stopped caring, not even in the end. Choosing this book not only speaks to her endless curiosity about the world, but even more so, it's her concern. She just cared. She wanted to find solutions, and she wanted to make things better. And she wouldn't give up, and definitely not on something that would protect her grandchildren. Sydney, Blake, Spencer, Haley, and Sloan, Grammy loves you with all of her being. She saw the unique qualities in each of you. She saw your essence, and she loved you all so deeply. Being a Grammy was the best job she ever had, and she knew it. She will always be a part of you. When you don't give up, that's Grammy. And when you give selflessly, that's Grammy. And when you battle for what you believe in, that is Grammy. My mom was a force. She was a force. Russ called her our family's Yoda. Small in size, but wise and powerful. She taught us kindness, a sense of justice, practicality, and loyalty. She taught us to never give up. These last 2 weeks with her have been excruciating and beautiful and profound. In true Carol fashion, all the I's were dotted and all the T's were crossed. I truly feel that she taught me the way to leave this earth. All that was left in these 2 weeks was time for us to just be and talk. We were given the opportunity to say everything we needed to each other, and we did. Well, there's only one thing left. Love your show, babe. See ya.
Now Artie's going to speak.
I first want to acknowledge the wonderful clergy that we have here at B'nai Israel. I know each one of them. The three rabbis, and the cantor. I've had discussions and a lot of assistance for them. I really appreciate your supporting us. Not just last few weeks, but through our whole lives. We're very fortunate to be members and to have you with us. I want to thank everybody who's here and who's listening. I see people that I haven't seen like in 30, 40 years. Very, very special people. I am fortunate to have been by the side of my beloved wife all these 47 years. And I am grateful to God that Carol was a 33-year breast cancer survivor. I am told by some medical staff over the years that this was remarkable. While we both entered our marriage with sincerity, with hopes and dreams, it was Carol who provided the essential guidance and hard work that led to our family's happiness and accomplishments. She was the best person and the prize of my life. I was really lucky to have her for all these years. I was smart enough to realize that Carol was a lot brighter than me. And I was smart enough to give considerable weight to her views, to her policies, and when we faced important decisions. Carol was kind to understand that I was a creature of habit who did not welcome change. It's just the way I was born. My twin brother, I think, is just the opposite. I did not welcome change, particularly when it came to technology. Most of you here, or many of you here, still kid me about using my flip phone, which I consider the most valuable technological tool available. And I still yearn for my old Royal manual typewriter, which never crashed and never hacked on me. I miss that typewriter. When there was reluctance on my part for this technological change, Carol was very patient and always respected my character, and she indicated to me I had some core values, even though I was a little off. In most cases, I acceded and eventually realized the benefits that can accompany some change, but they could never replace that typewriter. I wrote my master's thesis on that thing. It was close to 200 pages. In looking back, I marvel how Carol initiated and completed significant and complex projects in so many areas that strengthen our family, and they've already been discussed already, like overseeing our finances, maintaining and updating our home by designing a beautiful home addition, installing and keeping up with advances in computers and software and other agents of technology. She planned the vacations and returned and when she was able to go back to work after our children, Ellen and Debbie, completed elementary school, this really helped our family to secure a range of opportunities and secured also our children's higher education in both college bachelor's degrees and two master's degrees, and most of my children, Ellen and Debbie, are in the health area. And it's been very marvelous. They went to the best schools, and we're so proud that we were able to help them accomplish the baccalaureate and the master's degrees. And it was Carol who accomplished our greatest dream, the two daughters that you just heard, Ellen and Debbie. I am so proud of their development in many areas, and it was Carol, as already acknowledged, provided the guidance and the support that they could achieve their potential abilities and select and enjoy their career goals. We are fortunate now that Ellen and Debbie remain so warm and so close to us despite their heavy schedules. Along with their husbands, Joe and Russell, they constantly looked out for us as we grew older and confronted new challenges as older people can expect. Their parenting of our precious 5 grandchildren reflects the modeling of Carol. We already see their commitment in helping others in and outside our family. I also want to applaud again Carol for her ability to try new interests and take advantage of life's many opportunities. Her ability to set priorities and time management led to enjoyment as well as advancement for Carol in making clay sculpture, stone sculpture, art, and creative writing. She also loved golf. She had a thing for British history, classical music, and keeping up with the issues of the day. Carol, you have given all of us a proud and wonderful legacy. And how you were able to achieve meaningful and happy lives. You've given us all of that, a legacy in how to achieve meaningful, and with the help of the clergy, meaningful, happy lives. I hope and pray that I can continue your efforts, Carol, to help our family and others that we meet as we travel along life's pathways. I will always love you, and I miss you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you to all of you for such beautiful, heartfelt reflections. Wonderful tribute. We're going to rise now for the El Mali Memorial Prayer.
El Mali Rachamim Shocheina B'Maromim Hamitzei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei HaShechina B'malot Kedoshim U'Tehorim Kizohar Harakia Mazehirim Et Nishmat Chaya Chana Bat Yitzchak Halevi V'Shendel She'alcha Le'olama B'Gan Eden Tehei Menuchata Hanabal Harachamim Hastireha B'Seiter Knafecha Li'olamim Utzror B'Tzror HaChaim Et Nishmata Adonai Hu Nachalata V'tanuach B'Shalom Al Mishkava V'nomar Amen.
Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Carol Ann Besner, Chaya Chana Bat Yitzchak Halevi V'Shendel, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated. Following this service, the interment for Carol Besner will take place in the Addis Israel Cemetery in Southeast Washington. If you are going to be joining the procession in the cemetery, I ask that you please proceed to your cars as quickly as possible. Friday afternoon, we want the procession to be able to depart. Following the interment, Shiva is actually truncated because of Sukkot, which begins on Monday evening. But the family will be sitting Shiva this afternoon until before Shabbat, when they're going to be attending services. They'll be sitting Shiva at the home of Ellen and Joe Robinson, 9904 Harrogate Road in Bethesda. They'll be sitting outside. And then again on Sunday, this Sunday. They'll be sitting from 11 to 1 on Sunday, and then again 5 to 7:30 p.m., and there will be a minyan, an evening service at 7:30 p.m. On Sunday that will also be outdoors. I ask the pallbearers to please come forward and everybody to please rise.